everyone. As we look around Marriott International today, it's hard to believe that it began such a long time ago with two pioneers and a timeless idea. That idea, put people first in all you do while truly caring about them, has proven to be the path to lasting business success. And it's still the foundation of our company.
That's so true, Arnie. It's what Marriott is built on. And I couldn't be more proud of my parents' legacy, or of our associates for that matter. They keep the legacy alive after all. And in this pivotal moment in the company's history, it feels only right to focus on people who made it all possible.
And what better way to do it than through a new Living Our Core Values series, or what some simply call LOCV. To the Journey is the newest installment, and will focus on our core values and what makes us who we are today. And frankly, Bill, I can't think of a better title.
It really is great, Arnie, because over 90 years we've helped people begin their journey by opening doors to new opportunities.
Absolutely. Marriott's helped our associates discover so many new paths over the years.
And you know what? We've made it a priority to take care of them throughout their journey wherever it takes them. We want to keep that Take Care tradition alive by empowering our associates to take opportunities to grow and develop. Speaking of that, tell us a bit more about To the Journey and how Take Care helps us do that.
Well, Bill, LOCV is one of the ways that we share what we're all about here at Marriott. To the Journey is the next installment of LOCV and is an exciting new series.
And what's the main focus of this series, Arnie?
It's about what makes our Take Care culture so special, from how to improve your health and grow your career, to what it means to be part of an exciting community. We'll hear from Marriott leaders and associates from around the globe, and some very special guests who will share their expertise.
I'm sure they'll have some great stories to share with us.
It's all in the spirit of the family atmosphere, Bill, which, as you know, really defines our company. It's going to be a fantastic experience for our associates.
It really is, Arnie. Everyone gets so much out of it. I can't wait to see more. And what a way to start. Here to kick off episode number 1. From the beginning, our Debbie Marriott Harrison, my favorite global officer of corporate culture and business councils, and Mr. Take Care himself, our global chief HR officer, David Rodriguez. So Debbie and David, it's over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Marriott. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kurat, and welcome to our new Living Our Core Values series, To the Journey, and our first episode, From the Beginning. What do you say we kick things off? Debbie, David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and thanks very much for having us here. It's so great to be here, and I'm very excited to launch this new series. It's also great to have this time to talk with our associates. I wish they could all be here, but then we'd have to have a pretty big room, wouldn't we, David?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something, Debbie? Hundreds of thousands of associates under one roof. And thank you, Karat. There's so much to talk about. The Marriott story is a great one, and in some ways, we're all part of the journey that started with the root beer stand and that first hot shop. I think that pioneering spirit is still with us.
I think it's great that there's a replica of the hot shop counter at Marriott headquarters. Debbie, perhaps you could provide a little more insight into what it was really like for your grandparents back then. How has Marriott changed today?
Everything's changed, but nothing's really changed. Marriott began with a simple idea: put people first. And that's something we still do every single day. But in terms of what life looked like back then, that's a different story. It all started from humble beginnings. My grandfather was born in a small town in Utah and began as a sheep herder. But together, in 1927, he opened a 9-stool root beer stand with my grandma, and they created something truly amazing.
They sure did. I wonder what your grandpa would have said if someone told him what that root beer stand would become.
He'd be so surprised and proud. My dad agrees. He says Grandpa would be completely amazed by the sheer size of Marriott International today. I'm most proud, though, of the culture of opportunity that my grandparents and father created. It has enriched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And it all started because my grandparents believed in putting people first.
And I'm assuming that path wasn't as straightforward as people think.
No, it wasn't. Looking back, it really wasn't easy. They opened their first restaurant just before the Great Depression. It took a lot of resilience and hard work. They also took a lot of risks, but it paid off. And throughout everything, they found time to take care of each other.
Sounds like they were a team in everything they did.
Absolutely. My grandmother was the company's first chef. She cooked the food at their apartment and walked it over to the root beer stand. She was also our first accountant. In fact, I remember my parents telling me about a night that Grandpa got home late after a really long day and became worried because Grandma wasn't home yet. It took him a while to realize he'd forgotten to pick her up. She'd gone to deposit the day's receipts and was still waiting outside the bank for him. It was a bit hectic in those early days.
That's a remarkable story, except the fact about forgetting your grandma. All right, well, it does remind us that we all make mistakes, but it's important to never give up or forget about what really matters. David, is that determination and teamwork a reflection of the company today?
Without a doubt, that success is never final and take care of one another spirit is alive and well. We have 5 core values that capture Marriott's culture. Those values tell us where the company's been, but they also create a living history that guides where we're going.
That's a great way to put it.
Those early days that Debbie talked about teach us a lot about what's most important, and that's our global family of associates. And while all our values are important, it really starts with the first core value, put people first. Sure, they put a lot of hard work and long days in, but Debbie's grandparents always found time to take care of each other. In some ways, that might have been the first expression of put people first.
And it's a great recipe for a happy marriage, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. I think it's also important to remember the leadership role that Alice Marriott played. She really was ahead of her time. In fact, it was a true partnership, wouldn't you say, Debbie?
Yes, they were really, truly partners. And it's one of the reasons why my grandmother is my hero. She was a leader, and Grandpa absolutely depended on her insights and her inner strength. I am so proud that she continues to be a role model for women at Marriott today and a symbol for how opening doors to opportunity for everyone can be a reality.
It's like #GoGrandma, don't you think?
That's cute. She would have loved that and probably would have asked me what a hashtag is.
Wow, what a story. And the values they instilled in the company are so important, given some of the issues in the world today.
That's right. Core values define your culture and are meant to be timeless across generations and cultures. I'm most proud of how those values are reflected in the actions of our associates.
I bet you see those values every day. Can you give any good examples?
Absolutely. When I visited Puerto Rico, which is, by the way, where my family's from, I visited there after the devastating hurricanes. I heard a story that I think illustrates what's important at Marriott. Debbie, I know it's especially meaningful to you. Why don't you tell it?
Well, thank you, David. It is a great story, and to me it symbolizes what makes Marriott so special. It started with a phone call. Our SVP in Calo region answered the phone, and on the other end was the director of the only children's hospital in the Caribbean, which is in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
That's a phone call that will get your attention.
For sure. The hurricane destroyed so many lives and it was about to destroy more. They were in dire need of help. Our SVP was told that there were 11 newborn babies in the intensive care unit on respirators. There was no electricity and the diesel fuel they used to power the generators was running out. They had maybe 10 hours of power left.
It was a terrible situation. When I was there, Debbie, diesel was still scarce. Had they run out at that time, can you just imagine those poor babies would have lost their respirators? I just can't imagine.
It's awful to think about, and that SVP then called the area general manager. Although he had no idea how he would get and transport the fuel, he said, "We will figure it out. Failure is not an option."
That's incredible.
It shows total focus under pressure, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And he got a police escort. The area GM and a group of our engineers went to the hospital to assess the situation. The area GM then started making calls to government authorities and to the local hotels and businesses. They worked throughout the night to find the equipment they would need to transport the fuel.
And what happened?
Their efforts paid off. In the hours of the early morning, the diesel was secured just before the hospital ran out of power. The ventilators never stopped and those babies were saved.
Wow, that's so powerful. I can see why it's so special to you.
And Debbie, you can really relate to it in a personal way as well.
Yes, I can. My third son, Christopher, was born prematurely and his lungs weren't developed, so he was on a respirator for the first 2 weeks of his life. I almost lost him a couple of times, but he pulled through. When I heard this story, all I could think of was those mothers who didn't know if their babies would survive due to the storm and the lack of power. I know how desperate they were to get help.
And David, this story really underscores your point about how leaders make core values a priority and empower associates to bring them to life.
It's what we mean when we talk about Take Care. It all started as a health initiative, but our associate made it so much more. It became a way for them to express our culture by taking care of themselves, each other, and their communities.
And maybe also have some fun?
Absolutely. Debbie's grandfather once wrote the following advice to her dad: think objectively and keep a sense of humor. Make the business fun for you and others.
That was one of the guiding principles that my grandfather handed down to my dad, and really to all of us. Another one said, people are number one. Their development, loyalty, interest, and team spirit. You need to have a passion for our people and our guests.
Well, nothing says Take Care more than that, does it?
Nope.
I think they would be very proud of all we will cover in this To the Journey series. And we should try and have some fun in the process. In our next episode, The Future of Take Care, we'll explore the many ways associates are making a difference and having some fun too. Debbie, David, are you both on board for this?
Of course.
I'm in.
I wouldn't want to let my grandfather down.
I'm in.
Well, that feels like a perfect point to end on. Debbie and David, thank you so much for your time. Be sure to tune in to our next episode in the series to find out more about the future and Take Care.